come here back to Colorado here today? I mean, for the sole purpose of doing this?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Why? Because I felt it needed to be done here at her house.
Because that's how bad it is.
Yes, it is.
When you know that they're green screening, see what they're asking for. See what they're asking for. Right in front of you.
Honestly, it's been something that once again, we weren't anticipating talking to a whole much as attorneys in this case, but you're correct. I mean, there is no, and I mean, we called Facebook, we called YouTube, we called Twitter. I mean, honestly, when Frank talks about the people who were there for him.
Really hoping that you can realise that you can see through his head.
There's a dedicated group of people who are just going out there and constantly, reporting, trying to get back at these people, essentially to take these things down.
And you can see through Frank as well.
But like Frank is saying, there's no regulatory arm of YouTube. There's no customer service line for YouTube, no customer service line for Facebook. Yeah. Honestly, it's been something that once again, we weren't anticipating talking to a whole much as attorneys in this case, but you're correct. I mean, there is no, and I mean, we called Facebook, we called YouTube, we called Twitter. I mean, honestly, when Frank talks about the people who were there for him, there's a dedicated group of people who are just going out there and constantly, reporting, trying to get back at these people, essentially to take these things down. There's a dedicated group there for him. There's a dedicated group of people who are just going out there and constantly, reporting, trying to get back at these people, essentially to take these things down. But like Frank is saying, there's no regulatory arm of YouTube. There's no customer service line for YouTube, no customer service line for Facebook to contact. And we have really tried and racked our brain over a year to get something done. A lot of this is just getting a message out there and hoping somebody responds.
Yes.
Don't you think that's weird sunlight? Look at the windows. Only the windows? Okay. This is quite incredible in itself, because the bit they say about no customer service and how hard it is and there's nowhere to go and no one wants to listen to you with Facebook and YouTube, that bit's the truth. But they're still lying. Look at the colour of him. Green screening. Green screening. When I think of the hours it takes to actually put these videos together so that I can explain to you what I see, and then some of these comments come in and they think I'm being horrible, and it's so upsetting because it's so obvious to some of us. Why isn't it so obvious to others? But then I suppose for a few months I was very upset about this case, and then once you start to see it, you can't go back. But anyway, on with the next bit. So again, this is about him green screen, okay? This is the green screen coming through, which you could see on the other bit of footage. And then here are some channels that I went to. But I mean, this one's quite amazing because this one explains it. She wore a dress which was very similar to the background and the colour, and it actually made her see-through, so you could see the screen through her. So there you go, that's some of the mistakes they make. And then here he goes, he's explaining here that this is what happens on the edge of it. You get this green bit because they've not done the green screening correctly. They have not got the light and everything together. And then there you go. There is Frank's green round him. Green round him. Because he's on a green screen. Anyway, go and check those other channels out. They explain the mistakes that people make. Thank goodness that they do make them though. I'm really glad that they do, but I think it is impossible to make this 100% perfect, because I've always said they're 2D, not 3D when they're doing this. I mean, look at his head. Now, I've turned this up, the light on it. That's all I've done is turn the light up, just to show you how much distortion is going on around him. I just hope that you can get all the distortion. Play this bit again. See? Distortion. How can he be distorting behind him? He's not touching behind him. But those kind of things happen when you're on a green screen. So I hopefully now have shown people enough that they asked for more of our rights to be taken away. It isn't the subject, because nobody wants bullying, nobody wants horrible things, but actually they're lying and trying to take it away from us through the back door, but right in front of you. This has been done right in front of us. Oh my goodness, please, I just really hope that nobody listens to this and investigates this case. Oh my goodness, and to pull on our heartstrings like this is just awful. Please everybody, please, hopefully, now understand. When you think about it, when you think about what he's saying, it sounds so horrible that it completely tugs so much on your heartstrings. Their lives are being threatened and all this is going on. But I've just shown you all the other stuff, and I don't know what it is for some of us, right? Because there is a program to control us. I've already put that one out with the subliminal messages in the anthem. But a lot of people are looking at the screen, and then for some of us, it's almost like, if anybody's heard about Enoch, you know, beyond the veil, lifting the veil. It's like we can almost see through the television and we see what's going on behind the screen. It's a sort of saying, it's like the best way I can explain it. Because how come there's a bunch of us who can see what's happening to us? Trying to put it another way, do you remember the story of the emperor? And basically he was naked and he was trying to convince everybody that he was wearing his most magnificent clothes, and everybody was too afraid to say anything. And I think it was a child, wasn't it? It said, no, he's naked, and everybody kind of woke up, and everybody then, you know, that's the story. They woke up and they all had a voice, because actually they all knew he was naked but were too frightened to say so. This is what's going on with the trying to explain where we can see through. It's not that we can literally see through the television or the television. It's just that we're shown something and a lot of people go, oh yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, they've told us that's what it is. And the rest of us look at it and go, oh, they're green screening, hologramming. There's problems here. Look at that. Why is it fading? What's that rainbow thing in their eye? Etc, 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 and it just goes on and on. Why are they disappearing? Why are their eyes changing? And it goes on and on and on. That's what I'm trying to explain. Anyway, back to Frank. But there you go. That's the disappearing head. You can now start seeing whatever's behind, whatever that is behind him, through him, and this is part of the green screen which you've already just done. He's kind of see-through. Can you see it? You can still see the house through his head. You should eat. If he's real and he's there, you wouldn't be able to do that. That's because he's on a green screen. And then look, there's a gap now in his hair here, and this is very dubious. If it's so straightforward and you know, the line is so precise here, it should be here, and it isn't. We've lost a bit of his head and we've got the green screen thing going on. And when you think that this is what they're doing, what did he say? I had to be outside her house. But he isn't. Why not just be in their house? What's all this about? What do you mean they're trying to go to get political stuff done about this? He's on a green screen, not outside her house, so why lie about that? How come they're allowed to lie like this and be on a green screen? I just showed you what happens when you're on a green screen. They haven't got it right, and he's interfering, and the light and everything, and it's all interfering with him. And And then something really weird happens with these eyes. Look at that. He suddenly got a rainbow on his eye. Do you see it here? There's something here. And then something happens there. Also, in those videos, when there's a bit of this shakiness and it's really fast, it's because they still haven't got the green screen right, the filming right. They didn't edit it enough to us. Anyway, something weird goes on in those glasses there. It really does. But anyway, there. Here we go. Just had to get to the right bit. Just weirdness in these videos. As I started to just look at these people, I mean, you're looking at them and you think, I know who they are, who are they? It's on the tip of your finger because you keep seeing them and they keep playing each other and everything. But when you look at this, do you see anybody? Do you see anybody that you know from this case? Do you see anybody? Do they remind you of anybody? Not the hair, not the back of the head, not the ears. Just look round the eyebrows, eyes, nose, beard and mouth and chin. Not even so much that picture, but again, you know, this solicitor is disappearing. You know, I've kind of done it a bit earlier on, I think, wherever I've put it in this video. He's disappearing. They're standing on those steps, telling us that they're going to go to court over this. And he's green screening. You see, as I explained before, he hasn't quite. There's something wrong with the colours on him, and because they're almost the same as the ones behind him, it shows what's behind him. You can definitely see through his head. It's something to do with they've not lined the green screen up properly and the colours and that, and it just creates all these things. But that's if they're green screening, because when you I mean, look at that face. Who does that, come on, who does it remind you of? Sort of. Don't forget it's tweaked and changed a bit. When you slow it down and there's just so many look at that! Who does that remind you of? Does anybody see it yet? I'm going to leave you in suspense just for a little bit longer. When you slow it down, there's just so many glitches and problems with it. It's like it's a virtual reality thing, but then maybe this is what it actually looks like when you're green screening and you haven't got it right. So, you know, and then other things happen, there's lights and things going on, but I mean, just look. You have to think outside the box. Look at his ear, do you see that? I mean, look, oh my goodness. I'm going to show you in a bit more detail in a minute. I mean, look at that. Just take... Oh my goodness, I've got to put a line down it. Who does that look like now? Remember that chin on that person there. Do not forget the way that chin goes. Or even the nose, really, right now. But anyway, it's him. I'm going to show you a bit more in a minute. Anyway, there you go. The disappearing face. I mean, look at that. Disappearing. Glitching. Disappearing. Do you know what? I've never known people laugh so much. I mean, look, you can see the garage through his head. But I've never seen people laugh so much in such a serious case as this one. I mean, look at that. And then, whoa, just for a second, I thought I saw someone. Wait for it, it's these glasses. I thought I saw someone with an armchair. Look! Did you see it? Got to get it right, because don't forget, it's all layers. I'm showing you what I do to make these videos. Do you see where it starts to now look wrong? His face now looks wrong. You know, you can see where I'm bringing the black line in. You know, you can see it just doesn't look right. But do you see that face in there now? You know, it's so hard not to keep repeating to you that you can see through his head. Anyway, another one now. Look at those lips. Remember those lips. I may not have lined it up absolutely perfectly. I might have needed to have blown it up a bit more and done it because, yeah, but anyway, do you see that now that looks like someone else? Those lips though. See, now the rest of his face doesn't look right, does it? And it probably needs to go in a bit more. But anyway, there. Just to show you it doesn't look right, does it? Now hopefully you've seen me do this. One thing I noticed was the end of their nose was very, looks like someone else's nose in this. It's supposed to be more female. Anyway, another one now. I mean, those glasses look a bit weird, don't they, as well? I mean, they just do. They all look like they've got makeup on. Do you see him yet? Do you see him yet? Oh. So on national television, right, what is the message they're trying to give us? Or even YouTube, well anyway. It was a bit harder to do just the eyes on this one because that person's got glasses on, so I had to do it more from the nose and the chin. But you know what? I saw someone else in there too. Someone else, so I'm a bit more confused now. Who Chris Watts is? Look at that! Who does that remind you of? Have you got any ideas who that person reminds you of? Who does that remind me of? Nicola Atkinson's son. Nicholas. What is going on? That's what, just that bit there, that's who that reminds me of. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying at that point of the video, if I had to say who that was, I'd have said Nicholas. But anyway, back to this. So, I'm going to put a voice thing in next to show you how similar their voices are. They use voice boxes So anyway, that's the glitching I'm talking about. That's what happens on a green screen when you haven't got it right. And they haven't got it right because he's lost some of his face there. You can see the green screen through Frank. And now we're going to concentrate on his shoulder. Now look, he's lost this whole thing on his suit. Where is it? It's now invisible. He's got one here, but he hasn't got one here. Oh, look. You can start to see the flowers through his suit. So he's not there. He's on a green screen. Look at that. That is impossible to happen. And then have a look at the angle of his shoulder and what's supposed to be his arm hanging down. Plus the flowers through his suit and no lapel on his jacket. Look at that. See, this is what I'm saying. It's like virtual reality. It's like a computer game, this is. This is why they can change them. We've had games that are similar where we can do these kind of things to it. Maybe not with people, but with things. Like, let's change its dress. Let's put some food on the table, etc., etc. But look at that shoulder. I mean, just look at the angle of that. Look at, oh my goodness. I've only slowed it down and blown it up a little bit. And there you go. Look, there's the green screen round his jacket. Let's do that bit again. There's the green screen round his jacket. And just look at the shape of his shoulder. No lapel. Anyway, when I looked at this, right, but I'm not sure now. I've seen Nicola Atkinson's son maybe in him as well. But I mean, look at that. It's got makeup on. The person who plays the solicitor is like a fatter version of that Chris Watts. And although you'll say, yeah, but he hasn't got the same nose, you'll see that Chris Watts' nose keeps morphing. And there you go. Just then, he had the same nose as him. And look at the chins. They've got exactly the same chins. And then that person on the right has a sort of moon shape. Do you see like a moon shape on their face? And so does he. I think I'll stop it in a minute and show you. I didn't want to cut too much of him out because he's moving around a lot and he's smaller. So, you know, it would have just made it worse because, you know, put up 2 pieces of paper over, stop it, then look at it. You'll see. And I mean, he's got a nose that keeps changing. Where are we? Getting to the bit now to show you. You see it. And what does that mean? When the man that's supposed to be in prison is actually outside the house and is now a solicitor. Those faces are very similar. Do you see the chins? When you stop it, they've got the same nose. All that is some special effects. They have to because he's that size there and he's that size there and he's a prison officer in 2002 and he's very much like someone else. What was it that he also looked quite like Brett Epps. I was a bit shocked at that. Another version, because there's versions of them. I mean, most people haven't noticed in the interviews outside the house, they were different people. Different Chris Wattses. People didn't even notice that. I mean, if you look at the one on the right and then look at the one on the left, just stop it wherever you can. Do you sort of see? Look, it's So I do the bit with the moon. Got like moon faces. Both of them have. Look at that. What do you think? The next bit is just when you hear their voices as well, they all sound so similar, and you have things like voice boxes. It can make me sound like a man from Greece. You know, it can change your voice dramatically. Just listen to these voices. I mean, I can't even work out. I was thinking, yeah, it is Chris Watts, and then I was thinking, oh, but it almost looked like I saw Nicole Atkinson's son in that little bit of video which we've already played, and I'm like, let's go and listen to him. Oh, now he sounds quite like them. Anyway, so I'm just going to play these little bits of video.
Like, if she's not answering anybody else either, this isn't like her, because I mean, she works that direct sales business, and that's what she does. And for her not to respond to any of her people.
I'm trying not to go too deep into it, but that is something that we've considered, something that we're following up on, yes. And more than just local, a few national as well.
An opinion on anything like this, I just want them people to know that I want my family back. Like, I want them safe, and I want them here. Like, this house is not the same. Last night, I wanted that knock on the door. I wanted to see the kids running, just
Too much as attorneys in this case, but you're correct. I mean, there is no, and I mean, we called Facebook, we called YouTube, we called.
Then we pulled Mom's car up to the garage door so that we could, so I could stand out to see if her car was on the inside of it. Okay.
It is something that people are very concerned about. It is pressing, and it is something very tragic.
Good. And then after that, we called. Mom called one of her friends and told them what was going on, and then they called Chris, and Chris told them that she was.
I mean, if she doesn't respond to me, that's fine. I mean, like, she's busy, she's got stuff going on, but not to respond to her people, though, that was not like her.
Chris, you've got a beautiful family, you know.
And who was that friend? I think it was Cassie. Is that right?
I think I talked to Addie, or it was a somewhere between Shanae's mom, when he told Shanae's mom, and then when he told Cassie, and when he told, I believe, Addie.
Did you come here, back to Colorado here today, I mean, for the sole purpose of doing this?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Why? Because I felt it needed to be done here at her house.
Because that's how bad it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. It honestly, it's been something that once again, we weren't anticipating talking to a whole much as attorneys in this case, but you're correct. I mean, there is no, and I mean, we called Facebook, we called YouTube, we called Twitter. I mean, honestly, when Frank talks about the people who were there for him, there's a dedicated group of people who are just going out there and constantly, you know, reporting and trying to get back at these people, essentially to take these things down. But they're, like Frank is saying, there's no regulatory arm of YouTube. There's no customer service line for YouTube, no customer service line for Facebook to contact. And we have really tried and racked our brain over a year to get something done. A lot of this is just getting a message out there and hoping somebody responds.
Yes.